Wet right now, and unfortunately we'd like to be bringing you some more positive news, but at the moment it is 26 minutes past 11 a.m. local time here in Australia. More information on what will happen with the morning's action coming away in less than 5 minutes time, but at the moment I have to say there's not really a lot to cheer us up looking outside of our commentary box window. That Jack Miller fan, though, certainly did cheer us up. Well done, young man.
Yeah, he's had a morning to remember, even if he doesn't see his hero, Jack Miller, on the racetrack.
Star of FP1 in Phillip Island 2024, and no question. We're having another go then with the BMW safety car. So we put the stopwatch on Lawrence this time around, find out what sort of pace he can manage in the BMW. This then is into the Dewan corner.
Look at the World Championships in this photo.
18 World Championships in that picture. 15, of course, went to the absolute legend, Giacomo Agostini. He was doing a parade lap here this weekend as part of our 75th anniversary celebrations. 3 world titles as well, of course, to Pecco Bagnaia. 2 World Championships and an Australian Grand Prix victory also went to Frenchman Johann Zarco, who's pretty rapid himself in wet conditions. Fantastic memories. A great day here when he won the Grand Prix here in Phillip Island last year. Let's get some thoughts with Johan, who's with Simon.
Yeah, he is, and that's just what I was going to ask, Matt, is Johan, your victory here in Phillip Island, you must have some incredible memories of this place.
Sure, nice memories overall, because it's so my only victory in MotoGP, so it was a very long time that I did not come back on the track as a winner, and this was a nice feeling. Overall, when I was cycling on Thursday morning, the last 2 corners, I got this vision that I was leading the race and I could cross the line in first position. Because I'm not thinking about this victory all the time, because it doesn't bring anything. For me, it's in the past, it's done, it was huge memory, and I'm so happy that it happened. But I was surprised on the bicycle that I got this emotion back, and that was nice. So, yeah. Overall, for a first victory, I'm really happy that it happened here in Phillip Island, which is so special. I'm impressed by the track, and I got the victory on the track that I have admiration about the track, and I could get the victory here. So it makes the story even nicer.
I wanted to explain to the fans why. I mean, I've been asked a lot of times why riders love this circuit so much, and my explanation is that I wanted to know yours. My explanation is that you come here. I came here the first time in '89 on a superbike, and I had no experience with fast tracks, and it was daunting. I was scared. I left this race here, my first race here in '89, wondering if I had what it takes to be a fast rider, because I thought, wow, that is so scary. I didn't have the skill, the experience, you know. And this, you know, how you feel in danger on those 200 km/h corners. But over time, when you get the confidence and do it right, when you do it right, then it's more rewarding, you know, and to go through those corners. What's it like?
Yeah, that's why the track is very impressive, because there are corners at a speed that you don't have on other track in the world. And I think the track is also made that it can help you to lean and to stay into the corner, but like you have a standard reference in your brain that no, you cannot lean with that speed and make the corner. But finally, yes, just like arriving to the first corner, like in MotoGP, the reference braking is like around 100 meters, and which normally with the MotoGP, when you finish a straight, you brake around 200 meters even before. So it's strange to go at 340 km/h and have to brake at 100 meters to the corner. But it's kind of logic, because the turn is quite big, but what you see, the perception of this corner doesn't seem that you can brake at this place. And it's so strange, like 2009, my first year in 125, the 100 meters was my reference of a braking point. And it's still my reference now that I won a race in MotoGP. So that's what it seems. There is no limit, and that's what make you kind of scared or impressed, because it seems you can always do more. And if you understand why, then it's a pure pleasure.
Brilliant. John, I've got one more question for you. I noticed that you're now living not far from where I do in Andorra, and I've been speaking to some of the other guys from Andorra. I don't know what your hobbies are aside of racing and training. What do you get up to there now that you live there?
I discovered a very nice place to live. I was not used to the mountains, and it's true that for training it's a nice place to be. You breathe very good air, and like walking, running in the mountains or cycling, it's pretty nice. In winter you have the snow, so then you can enjoy also a bit of snowboard, or even walking in the snow with ski hiking, or just the racket often. Most of the riders are living there. The main reason is because you pay less tax than in your own country. We cannot hide this topic because it's pretty important. But after this first topic of the taxes, then you discover that the place is really cool to live overall for a sportsman. Then when you want to fly, you have to go down to Barcelona, which is 2.5 hours from Andorra, so that is a little bit longer than what you're used to when you live in your country and you can have an airport quite close to your city. But that's, I would say, the only weak point of it. And the most rich guy, they can fly with a private jet, so then you don't lose any time, but the difference of the price is big, so when you are more reasonable, you go to Barcelona.
It's the reason most of us have nice cars to get to the airport.
Yeah, true. Yeah, at least if you don't have enough money to fly in private jet, you have the good car to go to the airport.
Hey, Johan, always good to hear you. I want to wish you a great weekend, and keep up that amazing determination that you have showed Honda so far.
Thank you, and I like the challenge, so yeah, I keep pushing.
Yeah, always great to hear from the 34-year-old Frenchman. Some great advice on how to tackle Phillip Island, and some great accounting advice as well from Johan Zarco. Who's winning the game of Uno then, killing the time here inside the Red Bull Gas Tech 3 garage? Augusto Fernandez and his crew.
I'll tell you who's at a disadvantage. Those with their back to the camera who can have now realised that their hand was being shown on the screen right behind Augusto Fernandez, who was suddenly at a bit of an unfair advantage.
Looks like Augusto Fernandez's crew chief Alberto Girabiola has just got a bit of a raw deal with the card that he picked up. Of course, he'll be reuniting with Enea Bastianini in 2025. Of course, former crew chief for Andrea Dovizioso. We've got a winner. We've got a winner, have we? I don't know actually what the rules are for Uno.
No, not a clue.
No, not really one of my strong subjects, even though I've got a couple of kids that they like plenty of games, but Uno has never been sort of top of the agenda. As Augusto Fernandez, he's picking up. I've no idea what that means in the significance of the overall game, but yeah, I think look at Alberto Girabiola taking this very, very seriously, keeping his cards close to his chest, moving his seat further back so nobody can spot what's going on. Got to find some way, I guess, of keeping yourself occupied in these delayed sessions.
Yeah, we've got plenty to keep you entertained. We're also live on Instagram, incidentally, at the moment, so you can watch us on 2 different screens if you want, as our colleague Elliot York is putting in the hard yards. He's currently speaking to Fabio Di Gianantonio, so if you want to hear from him, Instagram is the place to go, as we watch the hardy souls absolutely drenched here at Phillip Island, performing their own Mexican wave. The weather certainly isn't putting them off.
I saw this last year, didn't we? A lot of local schools come on day trips to the Phillip Island Grand Prix, which I've got to say,
Kids
I'm
for free, isn't
very,
it, as well,
very envious. I mean, my old school trips back in the day were going to some rather tedious and boring museums.
I went to Conisbrough Castle.
Well,
it's not quite as entertaining as going to Phillip Island. Augusto Fernandez has finally, I think, got the upper hand here.
Who's numero uno at the game of Uno then inside the Red Bull? Oh, it's Albi Girabiola. Looks like he has taken the spoils. First win of the weekend then goes to Alberto Girabiola inside Red Bull Gas Tech 3. Oh, Augusto Fernandez, look at him, he's gutted there. Gutted to miss out.
At this rate, that might make it in a Tech 3 press release later on with the lack of action on track.
So we have a battle of sorts inside Red Bull Gas Tech 3. We feel the same actually.
We're with you.
We're waving back inside the commentary box. Yeah, it was the World Championship leader, 10 points clear at the top of the standings. The 26-year-old Spaniard, as we all are, Jorge, waiting patiently. I was just actually thinking we haven't had a rubber duck yet, have we, out inside pit lane? We've got a sponge. Fabio Di Gianantonio keeping abreast of the situation, texting home. Of course, there is some quite significant breaking news which was revealed yesterday by the Pertamina Enduro VR46 racing squad, and it did involve Di Gianantonio, who took his first MotoGP podium here 1 year ago in that unforgettable Grand Prix. Who's he calling?
Yeah, let's find out.
Who's he on the phone to back at home? It is
Flavio Napoli,
obviously a friend of Fabio Di Gianantonio. Fabio Napoli on the blow then to Fabio. Yeah, coming back to the breaking news, which was confirmed by Digia here yesterday. Of course, since he dislocated that left shoulder in a very heavy crash at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, in mid-August, he has been troubled by weakness and a lack of strength in that left shoulder. There's been a lot of rumours that he was going to try and see out the season before taking surgery, but confirming yesterday, of course we know Digia is here in Phillip Island. He'll compete in the Thai Grand Prix next weekend in Buran. Before then, he will end this season and undertake surgery. How good are Fabio Quartararo's photography skills? Well, we're about to find out, because there he is with our own Luca Gambuti, who's good friends actually with Fabio. So is he as sharp with the pictures as he is on the racetrack with that factory Yamaha? Yeah, all you have to do, Fabio, is press the button.
Yeah, it's not quite as
surely
it's a little bit more advanced than it was back in the olden days here, Fabio. As
there you go. Take a picture.
He spotted us. Come up here if you want, Fabio, and have a chat with us in the commentary box. We've already heard him, of course, with Simon a little bit earlier on. Gallery coming to MotoGP social media channels later on today, I suspect, if the pictures that Fabio's taken are any good.
And of course, we mention repeatedly, quite rightly, the brilliant Australian fans who hang around in all weathers, and we have to mention our brilliant guys and girls from behind the scenes, our camera operators who are gathered all around this Phillip Island circuit, who at the moment are getting a proper lashing from this torrential rain. So sterling work by them as always. Now then, was that a good one? As Fabio Quartararo got potentially a contender already for photo of the weekend. He obviously feels like it's not too bad. I can see there with the cap on, Gigi Saldana.
We are going to need it back, Fabio.
Experienced Italian photographer. Come on, Jorge, give us a smile. Maybe Simon can go and get some thoughts of the current MotoGP World Championship leader. As
Jack Miller started his lunch early.
Lunch has come early for Jack Miller. Is it a sandwich or meat pies are pretty popular, aren't they, in this part of the world? As Jack taking some calories on board before he hopes to get out on circuit. There is his factory KTM colleague Brad Binder, who was a whisker away from the podium here, wasn't he, in that thrilling Australian Grand Prix 12 months ago. Yeah, it was Brad just blows out the cheeks. We all feel the same, Brad, don't worry, because unfortunately it does look like FP1 may well be a victim to this torrential rain here in Australia.
The next update is in 11 minutes time from now, so stay where you are. If you are staying up in the middle of the night back in Europe, then our hats off to you. We hope your patience is rewarded. Although the current scenes outside our window and on your screens right now indicate that the weather is showing no signs of easing off at the moment, and the rain continues to lash down on us. Of course, it's quite a walk for us back to the media centre from the commentary box. Kind of hoping this rain stops, otherwise we might be here for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I've already had one soaking today, thank you very much. That was on the walk down to the commentary box for the start of this session. Pecco Bagnaia has been perched on the table of the factory Ducati garage, hasn't he, for quite some time now, as he just waits patiently, as we all are, for what we hope will be some track action here in Phillip Island today. Of course, they were hoping to commence preparations for a 13-lap sprint scheduled tomorrow afternoon, a 27-lap full MotoGP Grand Prix, as Giacomo Agostini having a little catch-up with Julian Marquez, and of course Papa Marquez with the 15 times world champion Now, a bit of housekeeping, a bit of news to bring you as well. Miguel Oliveira, of course, still sadly sidelined with Trackhouse Racing after his fractured right wrist in the recent Mandalika Grand Prix. Continuing to deputise for the Portuguese rider at Trackhouse Racing is Lorenzo Savadori, a British test rider, who I'm delighted to say joined Simon.
He does, and I had to come and see you, Lorenzo, because anyone who's had any contact with you knows you're an absolute gentleman. Always really pleasant to talk to. I want the listeners to have an experience. Even your team tell me they adore you. You know who you're riding for. I mean, this weekend. So tell us, test riding for Aprilia. You've been doing that for some years now, and we want to know all the secrets, exactly what you've been working. No, we don't. We know you can't tell us, but what is your main goal when you come filling in here at Trackhouse? Do you also do testing for the factory?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for the compliment. I wish to Miguel a speedy recovery. I hope to return soon here on track. And yes, also here with the team Trackhouse, we have some new solution. I need to testing. Last week I was in Jerez to do a private session of test and some new things regarding the new bike in 2025. We are now in my bike here. Yes, of course, it's not simple when you test a new solution, also do a very good performance, because you need to work in a different way. You need to work regarding the bike, not regarding the personal performance. But we will try to do, of course, the 100%. Can't wait also to return to ride here in Phillip Island. I don't ride here since 2018 with the World Superbike, but I'm happy to work with the team Trackhouse.
What do you think of the circuit, Phillip Island?
Yeah, it's super nice, super fast, and with the Superbike I like a lot, but I think also with the MotoGP bike are much speed, and also I'm very curious to try the new asphalt.
For the listeners, also for me, because I don't know, aside from racing, whereabouts in Italy do you live? What are your hobbies?
But of course I love the motorbikes. So in general, I love also the bike on the street, and also I do some sport with the motocross bike. I of course training, running, cycling, everything. I live in Cesena, is close to the sea. And that's of course is not simple to do the test rider, because you need to are ready for all the year, and you need to training like a MotoGP, of course, like a MotoGP rider, because you testing a lot and also do a lot of race during the year, and you need to are ready every time.
And cars, do you like driving cars as well as bikes?
Yeah, I like, but more bike. So for me, I completely love the bike. The cars, yes, is nice, but it's different. My heart is for the two wheels.
I was exactly the same as you until I got old, and I'm not brave enough for the bikes fast. So, one more thing: any family, children, girlfriend, boyfriend?
No. I have one girlfriend, but no family. I'm completely focused to the motorbike, and I'm happy with my girlfriend.
Lorenzo, thank you for your time. Enjoy Phillip Island again, first time since 2018.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great to hear from Lorenzo Savadori. What a job he's done behind the scenes for the factory Aprilia. And there is Representative Rick Crichton just having a chat there with the Ducati Lenovo team boss, Davide Tardozzi. Is he going to be providing a little bit of an update to the teams on potentially what might be happening over the next 15 minutes or so? We are
and beyond,
getting closer, yes, to 11:50 a.m. Local time, where we are hoping for an additional update. I mean, as you can see, these are live pictures. The rain is continuing to absolutely pour down. You don't need us to tell you that, do you? You can see for yourself. But at the moment, we are keeping everything crossed in the comedy box here just to see if we can get some kind of track action this morning, and hopefully for the conditions to improve this afternoon, as Jack Miller back inside the factory KTM garage. 10th place last time out in Japan, only his third top 10 of the current season, a season which saw him take a best of 5th in Portimao.
And it was only the third time this season where he scored points in both the sprint and the race across a single weekend, which is a measure of why Jack Miller has found himself down in 15th in the World Championship this year, and I guess deemed surplus to requirements for KTM as he heads across to pastures new with Pramac Yamaha next season, looking to really play his role in leading Yamaha back towards the front. We've already heard from their factory combo of Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins, as Francesco Guidotti looks outside and sees that. As we found a fan in the grandstand. I'm sure Simon Crayfar can hear us. If you look at the screen, Simon, one of your fans is watching on from the grandstands. Thanks for the commentaries. Better for storm shelter. Send help, he says. Simon's at the moment chatting, as you can see there, to Brad Binder on our screens as one of his fans serenades him from the grandstands.
Yeah, let's hope then we'll get a little chat very shortly with the South African. Yeah, perfectly right on cue. Let's hear from Brad, who's down in pit lane with Simon.
He is. Brad, first of all, I know you haven't been on track, so you can't tell us about track conditions or that new surface, but tell us about Phillip Island in general. What do you think of the place?
Well, in general, I normally love it here. I've had a lot of good races here in the past, especially in the smaller classes. Last year I was looking pretty decent. Unfortunately, the end result wasn't what we wanted, but yeah, the new surface so far is looking pretty wet, so hopefully we get to try it out, to be honest. Look, I mean, this rain seems to be chilling out a little bit, but not a lot, and I really hope we get to go out soon.
Tell the listeners about what it's like going through those 200km/h plus corners.
Yeah, it's pretty sketchy at the beginning for sure, especially when you're still trying to find the good line, and especially when the wind blows. Actually, when the wind blows around here, you got to really try and predict where you got to turn in, because it pushes you around so much. But yeah, it's still my favorite track on the calendar, so yeah, hopefully we can leave you happy on Sunday.
Hey, yeah, I've been asking the different riders what they do, you know, what their hobbies are, what they do behind the scenes, both training but also for enjoyment. What about you?
I'm a guy that has 10 hobbies a year. I try everything, and I'm normally bad at all of them, and after a month I give up and try something else. So yeah, I've gone through them all.
That's part of being young, trying everything.
Yeah. I've tried, you know, radio controlled cars, then airplanes, then fishing, then didn't dig that much. Tried golf. Sucked at that, gave that up, so let's see what's next.
Okay. But you've got I saw trials bikes. We've been for a ride in Andorra, trials riding when you first came to Andorra. Anything else?
No,
dirt bikes?
100%, everything motorbike related are my favorite hobbies, but I was thinking nothing with an engine there, so but yeah, trials, I love riding my trials bike. Motocross is my favorite pastime when I have, well, especially for training, and other than that, yeah, that's about it. Like going out in my go-kart too, so everything with a motor, wheels, I'm happy.
Cars, I saw you had an M4. What else? Have you sold that or still got it? Do you like cars in general?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love cars, but
you're a van man.
Yeah, I'm really happy with my Ford Transit. And yeah, got rid of the M4, and that's about it, but nothing too serious.
Hey, you recently got married. What's been married like? And got to ask, how long till some kids turn up?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been cool to be married. I've been at courts already for 8 years, so to be honest, not much changed. other than, yeah, I had to wear a ring on my finger for the first couple of months, but other than that, nothing really. It's been really cool, and let's wait and see.
Hey, good luck this weekend, Brad. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, bud. Good luck in these conditions.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much, Brad Binder, the South African, as we mentioned, fourth in the Grand Prix here last year.
Body language says it all there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a further update there now is due in an additional 10 minutes time. We've been sort of waiting around now, haven't we, for the best part of 75 minutes already to see if there's been any improvement in the conditions.
Jack Miller's already digging into a meat pie down in the KTM pit box. So.
Yeah, now we've got some pepperoni pizza. I'll tell you what, that looks very, very nice. Send some down, please, to turn 4 in our commentary box position here, where thankfully we're nice and warm and dry, but we were hoping to be talking you through some MotoGP action right now. Sadly, that has not been the case, and make sure you keep those nice slice of hot pizza dry as well, because that looked very, very tasty. My stomach's starting to rumble now.
Yeah, mine is. I've been awake since 4 a.m. this morning, so I think I'm about ready for some lunch right about now, although I'd happily take some MotoGP bikes on circuit to keep us entertained. We certainly won't be seeing that at least for the next 9 minutes. Not that it's bothering this particular gentleman. Yeah. Even in conditions like this, he's still here in shorts.
Absolutely brilliant. We should have we might have a competition coming here this weekend for the best way to deal with the torrential rain conditions from the fan experience here in Phillip Island. Yeah, there's Jack Miller. What was that, like little cheese and ham baguette maybe that Jack was quaffing on there? Arms folded, frustrated faces inside the Ducati Lenovo garage.
Look at the radar.
There is Jorge Martin. Daring to look, does he, at the weather radar?
No, don't look, Jorge.
On the screen.
Don't look like what you see.
Don't look to your right, Jorge. Don't look at those weather forecasts here in Phillip Island. Yeah, of course, he was there going full throttle. He would love to be going full throttle right now on his Ducati GP24 here in Phillip Island. But just look at that weather radar. Yeah, we know, Jorge. We've seen it ourselves. We can see how bad it's looking for the next hour or so.
Red means bad.
Yeah, red generally. Yeah, rain alarm there was the message at the top of the picture.
Yeah, we were listening to the radio on the way in, on the journey into the circuit this morning, and they were saying on the local news that there are some severe storm warnings for Melbourne, which is just a couple of hours away from us here in Phillip Island. So there are some serious weather warnings around in the state of Victoria, and we are not immune from that here at the beautiful Phillip Island circuit, as we ride on board with the bike that the world champion, I think, wishes he was on right now.
Yeah, on the left-hand side of your picture there, the rider coach for both Bagnaia and Enea Bastianini, 125 and 250cc world champion. Manuel Poggiali, what a rider he was back in the day. Well, he's been keeping a close eye on the weather radars, as we're keeping a close eye on the World Championship battle. It's still advantage. Jorge Martin 10 points clear. He is with 4 rounds. I'm delighted to say Jorge joins Simon now down in pit lane.
Yes, I'm with Jorge right now, just having a quick chat before we have a chat on the live. Jorge, I've been going, trying to keep everyone who's standing in the rain entertained, but also back at home watching telly. Jorge, first of all, I know you haven't been on track, but what do you think of Phillip Island in general?
Yeah, well, first of all, also I want to thank all the people that is around here. With all this rain, we are not even riding and they're still here supporting, so this is amazing. And yeah, Phillip Island is great. I think Australia in general, I really enjoy to be here. It's quite chill compared to Europe, so less stress, and I enjoy my time here. Also, Phillip Island is fantastic. I did a few lap records over here, so I really enjoy the layout, and going throughout this main street and see the seas, unbelievable. It's unique, and I really enjoy to be here.
Oh, hey, I've been. I'm not going to hassle you about championship and that, because we've heard that a lot. But I'd rather steer it. You haven't been on track, so I can't ask you about that. But I'd really like to hear what are your hobbies, training, but also just for pleasure, aside from racing.
Yeah, so my lifestyle is quite easy. I have my routine really scheduled. I train every day. That this is part of my life, and not only for work. I really enjoy to do it, to train, to be in shape, to eat healthy, and for sure training is one of my hobbies. Cycling is one of my hobbies. Eating is one of my hobbies. I really enjoy going out, eat some steaks, and eating good is a good hobby, I think. Sometimes expensive, but it's really, really good. And also have fun with my friends is always nice during the summer.
And I've asked a few of these, a lot of the Andorra guys, which you are as well, cars. Have you got a nice car, and do you enjoy that as well?
Yeah. Also, I mean, before I couldn't afford it, but now I can. So we spend some racetrack day, you know, and we go maybe with Alex or Aleix or Rims. We rent a truck and we go with our cars to ride. So to drive, sorry. So
what car have you got?
Now I cannot say it because
I see.
Audi,
okay.
An Audi, yeah.
Okay.
RS6. But yeah, we enjoy, you know, having fun, competing between each other, even if it's our cars, and yeah, spending some time together.
Okay. And your lovely lady that we regularly see on TV, how's that going?
Yeah, everything's on plan. She's here also. She enjoyed a lot. She came last season here in Australia, and she got a lot of fun. So we came for spending a week in Sydney also. So everything on plan, and we are good.
Jorge, I know this is strange, different, you know, in an interview, but when I first met her, you know, she's so beautiful. Often ladies that beautiful are not so interested in talking to me, you know? And I'm not handsome like you. So, but I bumped into her. She's intelligent, engaging. Like, I was like super impressed.
Yeah, I think I found the one. Thanks for your words. She don't like at all motorbikes. She don't even like them. So she just came to support me, and this is the most important thing. And actually, she remembers you. So this is important. She knows who is Simon Crawford, and she don't know anybody. So that's important.
Too funny. Hey, Jorge, good to hear your voice. Thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend and for the championship.
Yeah, let's go for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Jorge Martin, 10 points clear of Pecco Bagnaia, 4 rounds to go. And it sounds like a very relaxed Jorge Martin. Guess you would be in a situation such as this. Far cry from last year, and it is a real contrast that Jorge Martin has drawn over the start of this flyaway phase of the season. He said this time last year he was barely sleeping a wink through these crucial Grand Prix weekends with the World Championship on the line, as a seagull nearly met a grim end there as it just dodged our BMW safety car. But this time around, Jorge Martin, he says he's sleeping very comfortably in bed at night now, fully comfortable in the surroundings that he's in. He's fought for a World Championship before, he's been down this road once already in MotoGP, and he now feels more than ready to go that one step further from last year, where he fell agonisingly at that final hurdle.
Have those local seagulls learned nothing from Andrea Iannone from back in the day when he went for the full headbutt, did he, going down into turn 10, wasn't it, in that battle a few years ago. Pecco Bagnaia, well, still in his leathers and still optimistic that he may well be getting a chance to cut some laps on that factory Ducati GP24. But look on the grass on the outside of the Miller corner, just a lot of puddles and standing water. Now it's been pushed back to 12:15 local time, so we hope you are still with us, and thanks for your patience, and we're hoping we're keeping you entertained here as we all patiently wait for hopefully some MotoGP action, which is now, well, it was supposed to be morning action, but it's now already drifting into the afternoon as Marco Bezzecchi protected from the elements with his woolly hat. As he mentioned, Bears awfully mobile in terms of the championship. He's crept up to 9th in the rankings, still podiumless in a Grand Prix since round 4 at Jerez in Spain. Just the one podium actually so far this season for the 25-year-old Italian. Points though in the last 8. All of them have been top 10s. 4 of those have been top 6s. That's why Bezzecchi has started to get himself in top 10 contention. He's actually only 2 points behind Frankie Morbidelli, the 2 VR46 Academy stablemates, having a pretty good fight at the moment for 8th place in the championship. 2 front row starts in the last 4 for Bez in San Marino and in Mandalika.
Whatever happens here, this is going to have an impact on the rest of the day's running. The Moto3 practice 1 session is due to get underway at 1:15 local time, so an hour and a quarter from now, and of course we still potentially have a MotoGP free practice 1 session to run before then if we get lucky with the weather. So this is certainly going to push back our afternoon's program if the best case scenario of some MotoGP running does come to pass, and you wonder whether there'll be conversations going on and some plotting being made about how to proceed with the rest of the weekend. As mentioned, the conditions are expected to get better, certainly into Sunday here. Whether the conditions improve for the rest of the day remains to be seen. Well, we just discussed Marco Bezzecchi a moment ago. Let's hear now from the man himself. He joins Simon.
Yes, I'm with Marco. Marco, really curious. I know you can't tell us about the circuit. You haven't ridden, but we want to hear about you. What do you think of Phillip Island in general, the circuit?
Well, the track is amazing. One of the best of the calendar for sure. But also all the people, the fans, the Australian fans are crazy, are very cool, always very kind. They stop to talk to you. Maybe they don't even ask you an autograph or a picture, but they just want to know how are you, how you feel, and if you like the place. And it's fantastic. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Marco, I've been asking a lot of the riders what their hobbies are. You know, obviously you train. I'd like to know what you do for training, but also what you do for pleasure.
Yeah, we train a lot, and in these last years, MotoGP became very hard to ride, so we need to train a lot. But in my free time, I like to anyway stay inside all the motorsport. I like to work also on motorbikes. I work every time I can on my bikes that I have at home, but also I help my friends to work on their bike, and for me it's fantastic to be able to make the mechanic a little bit.
So you have a workshop?
No, not yet, but I have a small one close to my dad one. But also in my garage at home, I have all the tools. Pasquale from Beta, we made a bet 2 years ago. If in Mugello I finish in the top 5, he would give me a complete toolbox like this. So I made 5th in my rookie season, and he gave me the toolbox. So in my garage I have all the toolbox, and yeah, it's fantastic. Now we are preparing a bike with my best friend, and yeah, when I have...
But which type of bikes? That I'm curious. Which type of bikes?
He bought an Aprilia RS 125 Manuel Pozzali replica. So we try to build completely the bike, almost new, let's say.
Restore it?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Very cool. So, Marco, you're a handsome young man. Girlfriend?
No girlfriend, thank you, anyway.
Boyfriend?
No boyfriend. I have my dog. He's my best friend.
Like me, fantastic. Yeah. So, before I let you go, after the championship, you know, to rewind, to recover, what do you have planned?
Allora, for sure I will have to go under surgery to remove the plates in my shoulder. But apart from this, this will be a normal surgery, not too complicated. So I will rest for sure a bit. I can't go snowboarding, unfortunately, this year. But I will rest a bit, enjoy with my family, and then we have to go back to training very soon because the new calendar is starting very early. So yeah, the break will not be too long, but for sure we will enjoy anyway.
Marco, you're always a pleasure. I love catching up with you, but don't worry, that doesn't mean you won't get any long lap penalties next year. Thank you for your time, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. Thanks to Marco Bezzecchi. So the surgeons at Pertamina Enduro VR46 are going to be quite busy, aren't they, over the coming weeks? Marco Bezzecchi confirming that in the winter he will have to go undergo surgery to remove some of the metalwork from a previous injury. Well, I suppose the only sort of creatures that are enjoying Phillip Island right now are the seagulls that are pecking away to try and find some food in the puddles. Yeah, the sponge bob.
Feels like we are living in a pineapple under the sea at the moment.
Well, at least sponge bob has got nice attire there. Look, a shirt and collar and tie. Very smartly addressed. So 12:15 local time. We're hoping to have some kind of update on potential track action here in MotoGP. It does look like the rain has potentially eased off ever so slightly. Will it have eased off enough, though, for us to get any kind of Premier Class action? There is Fabio Di Antonio, of course, who we were talking about earlier on in this session, about the incoming surgery that he will undertake immediately after the Thai Grand Prix. I think a few people were quite surprised about the timing of it, but Fabio said, Lewis, it was the best compromise between doing as many races as he could do in 2024 and then giving himself the best opportunity to be fully fit for the first day of winter testing in 2025, February the 5th, the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia, as the local school kids, well, they're not letting the weather spoil their day, are they? As finally we get a MotoGP engine firing to life. And it's Aleix Espargaro's factory Aprilia team. Well, right on cue, we can get it straight from the horse's mouth about the news and updates on his decision to, after the imminent Thai Grand Prix, to undertake surgery on that dislocated left shoulder. I'm delighted to say he was third in the Grand Prix here last year. Fabio Di Gianantonio joins Simon.
Yes, he does. Fabio on the podium here last year at Phillip Island. What do you think of the circuit and those memories?
Yeah, well, I always say that, thought that this place is just fantastic. I love the vibe of the island, the people, and the track is just another league, let's say. It's just fantastic. Last year has been a fantastic weekend for me. I made my first podium. The emotions were really on the moon. Yeah, I hope to get the same feelings this year with the bike, to get the speed to try to fight again for the top 5 at the podium. Because this year has always been missing a little bit to try to fight really for the podium. But yeah, at the moment, a pity that we cannot ride for this weather, but I really hope to get on track soon, because to ride here, I think it's too low time to ride just one time a day here. You know, we need to do more races here, because it's just fantastic, this place.
Can I ask you a little bit more about that? Those super fast turns are just something else, aren't they, to experience? Super scary, but when you get them right.
Yeah, it's like every lap, every corner you do is the most scary corner that you've done in your life. Every lap, you never get used to it, but also is the fun thing of this track, you know. Riding with the MotoGP is like, it's crazy. The first corner when you arrive at 350 km per hour and then you have to go in full committed to the corner is like, wow, it's fantastic. Honestly, that feeling is like when you jump from a plane, you know, with the parachute. It's that feeling of scare, but also good feeling, you know, so it's just fantastic.
Fabio, I've been asking all the riders about their hobbies, what they do aside from racing, you know, when you get home, to train, what do you do, but also for pleasure?
Well, to train, I think more or less every rider now are quite aligned on this, that I do some bicycle, some running, sometimes in the swimming pool, so I swim, and for sure at the gym. So it's like this, the structure of the rider at the moment. For hobbies, I love music, so sometimes I try to do something DJing with my girlfriend because she's a DJ. Then I love to design, to draw, so I do a lot of my designs, also some drawings. Yeah, these are the main things that I do at home.
That beautiful lady that you got photos with on Instagram, I've seen her at a couple of races, I think this year. Tell us about her.
Yeah, now she had to come because she loved Australia. The dream for her is to come here in this place. But then he had a job to do in Amsterdam at the ADE, a festival of music.
So she's a professional DJ.
Yeah. She and the sister. Like the sister is doing with the saxophone, and she with the mix. Let's say with the.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice because. It's quite different word, but really similar in a lot of areas. So we have some things in common.
Fabio, last question. Your shoulder. We heard the news that you're going to take a couple of races off to get them fixed. I might walk over here a little bit because your teammate's bike's just fired up. Sorry to drag you out of the garage, but tell us about your shoulder. How are you going to deal with it?
Yeah, at the moment I'm feeling much better. The shoulder is getting better because the inflammation is getting better, is reducing. But for sure we decided to do this surgery to to be ready 100% for next year, to have a new shoulder for next year, because at the moment I'm okay riding, but I'm in a lot of risk if I crash. I have a lot of possibilities that it goes out again, it gets dislocated again. So the good thing to do now is to do the surgery and try to recover as best for next year.
Fabio, thank you very much for your time and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, no problem.
Yeah, always great to hear, isn't it, from Fabio Di Gianantonio. Thanks very much for that interview, Simon. A good catch up there with the Italian, who, as you mentioned, after this Australian Grand Prix, just one more race in 2024 for the 26-year-old. What a race that was last year when he took that third position. A race that really was the start of a journey that saved his Grand Prix career. I mean, at that stage of 2023, I think there was most people were expecting Fabio Di Gianantonio to be surplus to requirements. What's the lunch menu for Pertamina VR46? Marco Bezzecchi took it into a nice little bowl of something there. Was it rice? Was it pasta?
Looked like rice to me.
Yeah, it did look like a bit of rice. Getting himself ready for trips to Thailand and Malaysia.
You might need to ditch that soon if the conditions continue to improve. Rain is still falling, although by no means as heavy as it was earlier on in the day. As you mentioned, Fabio Di Gianantonio, it felt as if he was heading for the MotoGP scrap heap around about this time last year, and it feels like 1 month has completely transformed his career. The podium finish here, which proved to be the catalyst to victory in Qatar, which he very nearly followed up with another in Valencia right at the end of the season. And now, from being in a position where in each of the last 2 or 3 years, Fabio Di Gianantonio has been riding for his very future in MotoGP, he now has a factory Ducati contract in his pocket for the next 2 years, and he's going to be the only other rider, along with Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez next year, on factory Ducati GP25 machinery.
Yeah, can you imagine that scenario put to Di Gianantonio at this Australian Grand Prix last year before he took that podium? Don't worry, less than a year away you'll have had a GP25 in your pocket with Bagnaia and Marc Marquez. Just shows, doesn't it, how quickly a rider's fortunes can turn around. Are we going to get some turnaround in the fortunes for the weather forecast here, as once again we see Loris Capirossi? What is this? He's probably nearly done full race distance in that BMW, hasn't he? 27 laps.
Might need to refuel it, I think.
We pick him through the mist and the rain down the Gardner Straight in a dry MotoGP race. They'll be braking right now into the Duan corner, well over 350 kilometres an hour into the Duan corner. Really good overtaking hotspot this in MotoGP. And then you'll start this wonderful first sector. You go through there, the southern loop, around third gear, 125 kilometres an hour, as Frankie Morbidelli's crew just begin the warm-up on the Pramac Ducati. 8th in 2018 for Morbidelli was the best result of his rookie season in MotoGP. Sadly, for the Italian, there's been no top 10 since then. Got a decent point scoring record though here in Australia, as Frankie points in 6 of his 8 Grand Prix appearances, a best of second in 2016, a classic Moto2 race. Into the Miller corner we go then, which is certainly one of the big overtaking hotspots in Phillip Island. Through what is really a kink at turn 5, then through the rather appropriately named and aptly named Siberia for these tricky conditions. Though, here we go then. The pit lane will open, so we are hoping and looking forward to some MotoGP action finally here then on what is now Friday afternoon here in Australia.
Bezzecchi's going to have to put his lunch away.
Yeah, get the rice bowl put away. Maverick Vinales, who's already back in his civvies, is going to have to get dressed up. So in just over 10 minutes time, yeah, everybody now firing into life down in pit lane. So in 10 minutes time, we will finally get, after a very lengthy delay, MotoGP FP1 action here. Pecco Bagnaia, I think he was pretty much ready for a lunch break. I'm not expecting to go out on circuit, but unfortunately, well, fortunately for the Australian fans, unfortunately for us, we will in just 10.5 minutes time. Hopefully, if there's no further deterioration in those next 10 minutes, we will be on track. The Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Australia in MotoGP will finally be underway.
Yeah, the rain is continuing to fall. I guess what's important here is the level of standing water out there, and they clearly feel, and Left of your picture, Tommy Alfonso. Right of your picture, Loris Capirossi. They're in the best position to judge just what the track conditions are like, whether there is any standing water, and what kind of track conditions await the riders in 10 minutes time. You
can see there Tommy Alfonso with the headset on. He was feeding information back to race direction. So clearly it's really Capirossi. Well, Joan Zarco, the Australian Grand Prix winner of last year, is he happy that we're trying to get underway in about 10 minutes time, or is he just asking Loris Capirossi potentially where the hazards and the pitfalls are out on circuit? So Zarco here having a chat with Loris Capirossi and Tommy Alfonso. So Zarco then peels away from the BMW safety car. Just wonder if he was just asking where the potential standing water patches are. Jorge Martin just having a little natter with his crew chief Daniele Romagnoli. Both of those two will be staying as a partnership next year, of course, with a different manufacturer. Over at the factory Aprilia team was Tony Congram there, buried underneath the protective raincoats from so having a chat with Aleix Spargo. Doesn't look like Aleix Spargo is very happy, is he, that maybe the action is going to get underway.
I mean, that looked like pretty heavy rain to me in the foreground that was falling in pit lane.
And I don't think the world champion necessarily agrees with this
pit
decision.
lane will open in 8.5 minutes. That doesn't necessarily mean any riders will go out.
Absolutely, it's their choice, isn't it? Luca Marini getting himself limbered up and ready to go, stretching the muscles. He arrived in Phillip Island as late as he possibly could after the birth of his new daughter Angelina. He only arrived actually in Cowes on Wednesday night, so I'm sure, like so many of the paddock that went back to Europe after Japan, he'll be riddled with some jet lag. Also getting himself ready for this delayed start to this FP1 session here in Phillip Island is Pecco Bagnaia. Through Siberia corner we go then with the BMW safety car. You can still see the rain spots are falling on the windscreens. Now this will be one of the trickier circuits, the tricky parts of the circuit to negotiate in the rain as you go through the very high speed turn 7 through 8. This is all fourth gear in the dry conditions. Of course it'll be a lot slower in the wet, and then you come over the wonderful Aluki Heights. Alex Rins there. I think Alex Rins having a chat with his crew chief there. Patrick Primer under the beanie hat. I don't think Alex Rins is going to be entertaining heading out of pit lane in what, about 7 or 8 minutes time. Jorge Martin is watching his GP24 Ducati get warmed up.
Yeah, he was sort of shrugging his shoulders there as if to say, I'm not sure these are conditions that I want to be putting my body on the line in at the moment, when you've got a 10-point World Championship lead to try and defend. It certainly does look as if the rain is starting to fall a little bit heavier. Of course, they would have made this decision to open pit lane at 12:25 with the knowledge, surely, of what's coming on the weather radars, but there's plenty of spray and standing water being kicked up there by the BMW safety car and put 22 MotoGP bikes down that pit straight going at thick end of 200 miles an hour, and visibility will be nigh on zero.
It's not just that, I mean, there are some 4 big fat chunky tyres gripping the road there on a BMW coming out of that final corner on a MotoGP bike on a Michelin rain tyre, which will do a great job of absorbing and dissipating the water. Yeah, the spray could be a big issue. Once again there you can see Tommy Alfonso in the BMW safety car just feeding back information on the headset to race direction. We have a further delay. Session has been delayed further, so what we were hoping for, pit lane was due to open in 6 minutes time, but as we feared, the conditions have deteriorated once again here in Phillip Island. It did look like there when we followed and tracked the safety car down the Gardner Straight, it would be pretty tricky to get this session underway. You do wonder at what point we might have to just call this quits for the morning action and what is now the early afternoon action.
I was
going to say Loris Capirossi at least has just maybe wound down the TC. Just having a little bit of fun on the exit of Siberia.
Well, I do wonder whether in the end the riders made the decision for race direction here. It certainly looked from the body language from Aleix Spargo, from Jorge Martin, Pecco Bagnaia. Alex Rins was pretty animated, wasn't he, too? They certainly were giving the kind of body language and the kind of mannerisms down in pit lane that they weren't too keen for a session to get underway at 12:25, which is 5 minutes from now. That now will not start.
Yeah, and of course there'll be constant monitoring of the sophisticated weather systems to see whether we're going to get any kind of break in the weather. I'm just going to open once again my not so reliable weather app, and it is still predicting rain for at least the next hour. I'm just going to another look again. Yeah, the rain's extending now until 5 o'clock this afternoon. There is a rider who was always absolutely phenomenal in these very conditions, Chris Vermeulen, the Australian, or down here doing a lot of work for Australian TV as he always does. Chris, who will ever forget that Grand Prix victory in pretty similar conditions at the Bugatti circuit in Le Mans for the factory Suzuki team back in 2007, a former World Supersport champion as well. Is Chris Vermeulen. Some rider, wasn't he, back in the day, Chris? Always great to see him on our annual visit to Australia. As Davide Tardozzi, I don't think he's ordering up a takeaway meal at the moment for Pecco Bagnaia. I think they're probably looking at their own weather apps. As Jack Miller now is the latest rider to come and have a chat with Loris Capirossi and Tommy Alfonso.
Yeah, lip reading wasn't particularly special there, so I can't tell you what Jack was saying. Francesco Guidotti is now moving in for a chat as well. Now, I think this is not just a case of what do we do with this session, but it's how do we proceed with the rest of the weekend. Do they potentially extend practice this afternoon, if indeed that runs in conditions anything like this? And of course, there are further knock-on effects, because of course what happens this afternoon is due to seed the riders through to Q2 tomorrow. Of course, if we don't have a practice session, then we'll be flicking through the rule book. Potentially tomorrow's free practice 2 session in the early part of tomorrow morning might be the session that has to see riders through to qualifying 2. We had that, of course, in Qatar, the very first round of the season, when it rained on the Friday night and they swapped the sessions around and essentially ran the Friday afternoon or evening session as it was there as a free practice.
There are, of course, potential serious ramifications for the entire weekend programme, with Michelin fearing these conditions were going to seriously disrupt their hopes of getting a lot of dry track time here to assess the new surface on their revised tyre allocation. I mean, we were fearing the prospect, which is a realistic prospect potentially, of both Friday and Saturday being heavily disrupted by rain and strong winds. It's not a given if it's dry here in Phillip Island that we will be able to have sessions running as planned, because if the wind does howl in from the nearby Bass Strait, then we saw last year in Moto2 red flags come out. So this is something for race control and the organisers here in Australia to be factoring in for the remainder of the entire weekend. Aleix Espargaro, also now another rider that has come over to have a little chat with Loris Capirossi and Tommy Alfonso. Now Alex Rins joins that particular club as well. Loris just having a bit of a smile there with Alex Rins. I think this is just basically everybody saying, where are the most sort of perilous parts of this 4.4 kilometre Phillip Island circuit? Marc Marquez looking on, world champion Pecco Bagnaia once again peels out of the factory Ducati garage. He's just going to dive for cover under the Ducati canopy there. But at the moment,
maybe he's going to go over and sign some caps and take some selfies again, like he did on the Sunday here last year when the sprint didn't happen. At least he's giving the fans a wave, those that are still patiently waiting for some MotoGP action. Of course, they have seen a Moto3 and a Moto2 session this morning, but the main event still yet to get underway.
That fan there, we know who they're shouting for. My lip reading was very good on that one. They're screaming the name
on the cap
of Pecco. Yeah, number 1 on the cap as well. I'm sure if he could do, he would be going over there to engage with the fans. He was one of the riders in it last year that went over and signed some autographs after the abandonment of the Sunday action, when we didn't get, unfortunately, the sprint underway here in Phillip Island.
So Pecco Bagnaia, I guess, is waiting with the rest of us for some further information. We're going to try this again as Loris and Tomé head for another lap. Not quite sure what more they can really learn from a further lap. All we're getting is further rain landing on this racetrack, so conditions aren't exactly going to be getting any better. Just wiping the mist from our commentary box window again, it once again appears to have perhaps eased off a touch. The weather is tantalisingly playing games with us at the moment.
Well, at least Marco Bezzecchi can finish his lunch. Marco's got the bowl of food back in hand, and he can tuck into, I'm sure, what was a very tasty lunch there inside the Pertamina Enduro VR46 garage. Francesco Guidotti there, then Red Bull Cating Factory Racing boss, in deep discussion with Gino Borsoy, of course, boss of Prima Pramac Ducati. Davide Todozzi, as always, right in the thick of it as well. Jorge Martin also having a chat, as they are obviously maybe getting heads together here just to sort of say the race direction. Maybe it's the time just to sort of call it quits on this one. Unfortunately, we've tried our very best. We've played patient, waiting for a break in the weather, as Pablo Nieto, Marco Bezzecchi and Fabio Di Gianantonio's team boss having a chat there with Aspar Moto3 and Moto team manager Nico Tirol, who I'm sure has done a lot of celebrating, a lot of media engagement over the last couple of weeks after his superstar in the making, David Alonso, was crowned Moto3 world champion at that Japanese Grand Prix in Motegi. What a ride that was by the Colombian, winning the Moto3 championship in the best possible fashion, doing it in style from the top step of the podium. Still plenty to fight for Alonso over the coming Grand Prix, as he looks to be the most successful lightweight championship rider in history in terms of race wins. 10 wins so far for the Colombian, as once again the BMW safety car with Loris Capirossi and Tommy Alfonso on board as another circuit of Phillip Island, to see if there's been any improvement in the last couple of minutes or so since they were last out on track. Let's just follow them down the Gardner Straight, because this is where it looked like there was some issues with standing water. You can get an indication just how heavy the rain is. The windscreen wipers there in full swing, and through the grey and gloom.
Mino's put the pit board out.
Mino's got a pit board out for Loris Capirossi. Brilliant. He's a cracking little character, isn't he, Andrea Mino? At least he's seeing the bright side.
Is he timing him as well?
Oh, brilliant, Andrea. Absolutely loving that from Big Mig.
Yeah, he's borrowed a pit board from Ivan Ortola and empty helmets MSI there to put the info out to Loris.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, faster. Come on. Try push
just to his
harder.
right as well.
Loris Capirossi was pretty handy around the Phillip Island circuit back in the day. Did he win his 125cc World Championship? I have to just double check the record books, but
he's getting a ride through now, is Loris?
Superb.
Yeah, Fabio Di Gianantonio is helping with the messages now for Loris and for Tomei.
Well, at least they've not lost their sense of humour. Thankfully, neither have we in the comedy boxes. And once again, Loris Capirossi decides to have a bit of a play in the BMW.
65
ride through. Love it, boys. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Let's hope that Loris sees it as well.
Irresponsible driving, is that what we're going to term this as?
They should have done. They should have given him a long lap and then see if he did come through the long lap. And then if he didn't, give him a double long lap. Ride through penalty coming in then for number 65, Loris Capirossi.
Yeah, let's see if he sees it. Well, we're already on board here with Loris and with Tomei. He's got a close eye on the conditions. He's, I think, coming round MG. Here he is. He's down at the bottom of the hill, so he's got a couple of corners to go now. Turn 11 to come before the final turn 12, and Fabio Di Gianantonio, like us, is waiting excitedly to see what kind of reaction we get from Loris.
Let's just hope race direction have told him to carry on. Yeah, you keep going. Thankfully, Loris has come past the pit lane entry, so out of the final corner, Powers, Loris Capirossi, former 125 and 250cc world champion, 65
He's seen it.
through. He's seen it. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. That's the way to keep us entertained on a very grey and gloomy Friday. Right, now give him a long lap now and see if he does come through the long lap penalty.
Going through the full repertoire of messages here for Loris Capirossi. Fabio Di Gianantonio, well, he would rather be out there on track, but at least that's put a smile on his face.
Thanks to Andrea Mino as well, for putting a smile on our faces as well. Great stuff. Of course, Andrea Mino, he's very heavily involved still with the VR46 Academy. No longer as a full-time rider, unfortunately. Moto3 Grand Prix winner, isn't he, Andrea Mino? He very much still an integral part of the V46 Academy, working as kind of a rider coach and a spotter for Marco Bezzecchi and Fabio Di Gianantonio. So, is he going to come in then? Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, beautiful. That's nice.
No, he's just having fun with us now.
He is now, yeah.
So this session was due to get underway, what, an hour and 3/4 ago? Around about 10:45 this morning here in Phillip Island. And at 12:30, we are still awaiting, hopefully, the first MotoGP track action of the weekend. Of course, the rescheduled start time passed 5 minutes ago. And we are now eating into the afternoon's programme with the Moto3 session. Practice 1, as it is, was due to get underway in around about 45 minutes from now. That, surely, is unlikely to go ahead on time as the rear steps out again on the BMW safety car.
Is he going to do his ride-through?
Loris Capirossi now getting set to come up pit lane as he's been instructed to by Andrea Migno, the stand-in steward.
Is he going to do his ride-through penalty? Yes, he is. He's being a good boy, isn't he, old Loris? Well done. Into pit lane he goes.
Black flag if he doesn't come in.
Well, exactly. So down into turn 10 he goes. There's been a fair few dramatic incidents down the years there in Phillip Island. And there he goes, enjoying himself, having a bit of fun out on what is a very soggy Phillip Island circuit here. We were hoping, of course, for the riders to assess and get their first experience of this new Phillip Island surface, but the weather has paid to that, as Jorge Martin, now the latest rider to grill and quiz Tommy Alfonso and Loris Capirossi. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I don't think they're discussing lunch plans, are they? As Jorge Martin, of course, they'll be conversing in Spanish. So I guess whoever can understand Spanish back at home will be able to understand what they said. Clearly, a bit of laughter there from Jorge Martin, so he's clearly still the funny side of whatever he was told. And Davide Tardozzi, I think, is perhaps laying down the law here to Loris Capirossi. I think, for better or for worse, a decision needs to be made here.
Yeah, I think Davide Tardozzi with the face of thunder, a bit like the weather conditions. And
shades of the Nürburgring, isn't it?
A bit of a stomp there, wasn't there, as well. I think Davide's body language there made it quite clear what he thinks. Let's go down, though, and hear, directing the horse's mouth, Loris Capirossi, who is with Simon.
He is. Loris, can you tell us what conditions are like out there and what you think will happen from here?
Yeah, well, the problem is the track is soon is the rain coming light, is coming good, but the problem is start again to rain a lot, and we have some aquaplane during the track. Is better to waiting, until the rain stopping.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. Thanks to Loris Capirossi. So, this is a tough one, isn't it? Are we going to get any imminent track action here?
No, we're not.
In Phillip Island. No, the session has been cancelled. It has just popped up, as you can see on screens. It has been called then. Conditions, unfortunately, no significant improvement in the very near future. So we are sad to report, of course, this was always a last resort scenario, but having carried out several inspections of this Phillip Island circuit, the session has been cancelled due to the inclement weather, track conditions not safe enough for that 45-minute FP1 session to get underway. Of course, that will have a significant knock-on effect for the remainder of our Friday action here in Phillip Island. As soon as we have any indication of what will be a revised schedule, well, we'll bring you that either on the live broadcast or certainly keep a very close eye on our social media channels and on MotoGP.com, because as soon as we have any information on how the rest of the day will pan out here in Phillip Island, we will of course bring it to you in due course.
And that all feels dependent on the evolution of the weather conditions here. Of course, the radars that we saw on the screen behind Jorge Martin around about 20 minutes ago did not necessarily spell good news, but as we get ready to head off air. Unfortunately, no MotoGP action to bring you this morning.
Yeah, we're going to be off air in about 20 seconds time, so unfortunately no FP1 action here in the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island. Keep abreast of all of our social media channels and MotoGP.com for further updates and hopefully some afternoon action later on here in Phillip Island, but we will see you hopefully on track very shortly in Australia.
Yeah, there's water sitting on the track in certain areas and the conditions haven't seemed to ease considerably yet, so unfortunately a decision has been made. Free practice 1 not going to take place today, but yeah, fingers crossed later in the afternoon.